Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah.
Another episode of Trash Talk. I am Damian Hill. With me, as always, is TJ O'Connor. And tonight we are joined by Joey Hart once again, coming off of a very successful victory at LFA 168 that went down at Mystic Lake Casino September 22nd. Now, it's been a little bit since the fight has happened, the conclusion of the fight. Officially, you won by doctor stoppage in the third round. Could you talk us through the finish or ho- talk us through the conclusion of the fight? Sorry.
Yeah, the way it ended, I guess. So third round, we were nearing the end of it. I felt like I was controlling it pretty well, the fight, and then I was kind of walking him down, pressuring him. I threw an uppercut to the chest that rocked him, and he kind of like doubled over, like holding his body. He was hurt to the body, and then because of that, he couldn't stand up straight. So I was able to just kind of like I didn't have to throw a flying knee. I could because I'm tall as well. I pretty much just stepped up and just kneed him in the head. I think maybe I grabbed it, but pretty much was able to just step up and knee him in the head, and that split him open. It was kind of a flurry, I guess, because I was putting knees on him. I was putting like those chopping elbows on him, like just a whole flurry. But I think it was the knee that definitely did the majority of the damage. And then it was like a scramble after that. We kind of I kept just going after him, kind of pouring it on at that point when I saw he was cut and he was rocked. But I wasn't going crazy. I was like, whatever, I'm controlling the fight and taking my time. But then what was it? I think another knee. Like I had him up on the cage and I threw a knee and he got the leg and we kind of like he was in on like a single, but I was sprawled out, so I kind of ended up like stuffing his head and just kept continuing like elbowing the temple and all that stuff. And eventually we got back to the feet. I got back up. And then as soon as there was like a pause in the action, the ref instantly jumped in and got the doctor in, I guess. And I think because it was above the eyes, there was so much blood in his eyes he couldn't really see, so they had to call that.
You mentioned a little bit before the fight in the pre-fight interview that you were somewhat trying to make a statement going into this fight. Do you feel like the statement was made?
Yeah. I felt like with my pre-fight prediction, all the stuff I said was pretty true. I don't feel like I was too cocky. I feel like it was just accurate as far as like his abilities versus mine. I knew I could control the striking. Like the way the way it went was pretty similar to how I expected. He's really tough. He had never been knocked out before. At a certain point, I was like, oh, maybe I won't be able to knock him out, which I never did. He didn't lose consciousness. I mean, there was a point like when I was bringing after I hurt him to the body, like he was tough there. A lot of guys would have just quit, from that uppercut or from I hit him with like so many switch kicks to the body, just so many shots that he didn't really flinch at, and I was surprised. But other than his toughness, which was I knew he was tough and he was a little tougher than I thought. It went how I thought and how I thought it would, and yeah, I felt like I made the statement I wanted to. Really, I have to thank my coach Brock because he was encouraging me to go for the finish because I felt like I was going to win a decision for sure. Like I felt like it would have been unanimous. I maybe lost the first round, but the second was dominant and third was I was crushing him. But even then he was still like, no, we can't go to decision. Like we don't know. These judges could be crazy. You know what I mean? So even then, even with how brutal it was looking at the end, he still was like, no, you have to finish him. And I'm thankful to have a coach like that because I mean that's how you make statements, finishing guys. And I'm still now I'm 3-1, still with 3 TKOs or KOs, whatever, doctor stoppage TKO. So I'm happy with the performance.
Definitely. And shout out to Brock, like you said. I mean, definitely been around the block, provide that advice. And I'm glad you brought up and touched on that first round because one of the things we talked about in the pre-fight interview was, coming off your previous performance, you wanted to try to find that adversity again. You're trying to fight these guys where their main goal was to try to grapple you early because, that's something you've been working on. what was the point in that first round, or it might have been, the whole time, but, a little bit of adversity earlier, he got the takedown, was controlling against the cage a bit. What was the turning point in your mind where you said, okay, everything we've been doing is working, now let's turn it up a bit?
I guess it was when well, he was trying to fold me over, like do the whole Dagestani handcuff thing, get my wrist up to my hip and fold me over on it, or give it to his other, basically pass my wrist to his other wrist and fold me over on that, and I kept scooting. My coach was telling me to watch for that, get my back to the wall and all that. And as soon as he was really strong then, like when he first got me down, and I made mistakes in the fight. I made plenty of mistakes, but when as soon as I started getting back up and there wasn't that much resistance on getting back up, I was like, okay, yeah, I feel like we got this. Like, you know what I mean? I'm down, but I can get back up and I can do it over and over again. And he's only going to get more time. I mean, I could literally feel from minute 1 to minute 2 like a tangible strength difference. So it's like, yeah, I just kind of knew at that point, yeah, it was only going to continue in that way.
Yeah. Okay. So when he had you down, like it's one of those things when you're on the ground, it's a chess match, as they like to say, when somebody's trying to set up a submission, you don't like when you're in there and you're in the exchange, you can kind of feel what submission they're trying to set up by the motions, what arm they're trying to lock up or which arm they're trying to isolate or which like part of the body they're even trying to get to, you
Right.
feel what submission they're trying to go for. Did you feel you didn't feel like he was trying to go for a submission, he was trying to go for the lockdown position, and while he was going for that, do you feel like there was any submission that might have been open for him? Or if that was only what he was going for and you just kind of knew like you were safe, you trained for this?
Yeah, no, he wasn't. I don't think he had any submissions in mind. He definitely wanted to get me stuck and TKO me. I mean, he won. I never saw a video of his fight with Ruben Johnson, but he won by TKO, and I know he wrestled him, so I'm assuming it was something like that, with ground and pound. But yeah, no, I didn't feel any submission threat from him at all. But I knew, I mean, from my last fight going against that Sambo guy, I knew if I was to allow him to fold me like that on my wrist, it would be bad news. So I was like, no, it was almost like PTSD. I'm like, I cannot get back there. Like that was only a few months ago. That was June. I was literally in that same position, getting folded over like that. I'm like, yeah, I can't let that happen. So post far away, with the post with the arm far away, so he can't fold me on it and get back up. But no, yeah, I think throughout the fight, really, I never felt any submission threats.
Okay. But like, okay, so you being able to get back up knowing that like you had just the same thing that he was trying to do had just happened to you your last fight, and him going for that, like I obviously it played out in the way that you taking that loss and then coming forward into this next fight, it played a factor in knowing that, hey, I'm not going to let that happen again. But do you
Right.
think that he overestimated himself and thinking that that was going to play a same factor into this fight, thinking that that was all he needed to do?
Yeah, I think probably, I don't know if he overestimated himself. I think he just probably thought it would be easier than it would be. I think like whenever I'm talking with teammates and strategizing, or even like just thinking about how the fight's gonna go, because there's always, a million scenarios. But I'm always saying like I hope they try to take me down early, because they're just gonna get tired if they try to wrestle like from the start, and you know what I mean. All that energy you're exerting, like eventually they're going to get tired, especially if I'm making them, if I'm not just giving up the takedown, if I'm scrambling like I need to, which that's what I did in this fight. I felt like after that first takedown, there was never, I gave him, that was an easy takedown. That first one he got, like I kind of just made mistakes. I felt like I maybe didn't warm up enough. They run that show really quick, but either way, I got taken down, and after that, there was no more easy ones. He had to work for him, and then he was getting tired and he felt way weaker. Like, I never, after the first round, I really wasn't worried about his wrestling. That's why even when we were like on the ground, like I could hear, I had Cody in my corner, Milhausen, and I could hear him like yelling, like kick out at a certain point. Like when I'm it's hard to describe the position, but I'm like kind of like sprawled on him, and I'm like stepping over him, like over almost to take his back, and I'm kind of just in weird spots hitting like awkward ground and pound. But I could just stand up at any point, and he's like, kick away, you're a striker, like get back up and beat him up. And I did eventually, but I'm thinking in my head like he doesn't feel strong anymore. He doesn't feel like I wrestle all the time, so like I know what it feels like when someone's way out of my league, and he didn't feel like that anymore at that point. Like basically from the first round on.
Yeah, I love it. And this is just the experience that's coming with it. And talking about that, I mean, a lot of valuable cage time. You were able to get the stoppage, but I mean, fight almost went the full 15 minutes now. So, I mean, how much do you think getting this cage time early, especially when, we were talking about, it's never a bad thing, but you're getting a lot of finishes and you're getting them early. How important do you think it is to get this cage time early in your career fighting against these high-level grapplers?
No, that's huge. Yeah, a lot of people have told me too, even since the fight. I didn't know, I didn't wrestle like in school or anything like that. So when people talk about like wrestling accolades, I don't even really know what all of them exactly mean. But people were telling me after the fight about how good of a wrestler he was and all that. And I guess like his comes from a wrestling family. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. I guess that he is such a high level wrestler. Then I was able to get so many exchanges with him, hitting switches, hitting whatever, sprawling on them and different things. So that was cool. And being in there for a long time, for 14 and a half minutes was cool. Getting that cage time, like you said, I've definitely wanted to do that, because like you're saying, the other fights were kind of quick finishes. Those 2 knockouts were both in the first round, so it's like really getting to test myself. And then going forward too, it's a weird feeling, like going first going 15, having the first 15 minutes be a loss. It was like, okay, I obviously need more in the tank. And then the last one winning a almost 15-minute fight, it's like, okay, I know exactly what it takes to fight, like cardio wise. I know exactly the tax it kind of does, like on the lungs and all that, and how tired I'll be in certain scenarios. So now I know if I push, what I mean, this much harder, I can do that much better. And it's exciting to go forward.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, you're training at primarily a jiu-jitsu gym that has a lot of guys that are known for their striking, like Angel Pacheco, Cody Millhouse, known for his power, his overhand right. You yourself known for your striking as well. And but also training under Brock Larson, high-level wrestler himself, black belt in jiu-jitsu, also professional, former UFC, 1FC and WEC title contender. This man knows how to put it together with its jiu-jitsu and MMA wrestling, and I feel like you've benefited a lot underneath that as well. But what's going on at Start BJJ that why you guys have so many high-level strikers there as well? I mean, you guys have some submission fighters. You guys have some people that are known going out there and winning these jiu-jitsu tournaments all the time. But at the same time, a lot of you are finishing your fights on the feet. What's going on?
Yeah, no, I think it's just some of it's coincidence. I think like me and Angel both gravitated towards Brock just from finding him, you know what I mean? And also the fact that Brock's like the best in the area, I guess that kind of attracts, you know what I mean, people who want to get into the sport. And I'm just lucky to have met Angel really in Wilmer and have him invite me to start. But yeah, I don't know what it is about why a jiu-jitsu gym would have so many good strikers. It's weird. I guess just part of it's coincidence. I mean, also the training, like we're turning good wrestlers into good strikers as well. Like look at McCoy. He's got knockout power now. He's way more fluid. Like kick, like that head kick at the Myth, like stuff like that. Like you see him looking like a kickboxer. And all the other guys, Augustine, Cody, like guys who wrestled and now like Cody knocking people out and all that. Yeah, I think it's just the way that we train. Tanner Tremblay as well, another really good wrestler who got really good hands now. If you didn't know him, you'd think he was a striker if you didn't see him wrestle. But yeah, I guess just the way we train. Angel running a lot of the striking stuff, like at the MMA practices, a lot of them are striking based. I mean, we do a lot of live grappling too, obviously. I feel like that shows, but just training smart. Like the drills that we do, I feel like are all productive. Making a good use of our time and all that. Yeah, it is interesting though.
Yeah, this is my speculation. Everybody's so good on the ground. Everyone's afraid to go to the ground with everyone else there. So you all just stand up and it's developed so well. That's a speculation. I'm
Oh,
joking.
you might be right. You might be right. I mean, I don't try to take people down really, unless I'm just bored or trying to mix it up, or I'm really really desperate. There's been a few times, in practice, but for the most part, yeah, I'm just trying to stay in it anyways. But no, you might be on something with that. I mean, it definitely is. Yeah, with all the good grapplers we have in the gym, it is a Shark Tank at times.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a great problem to have, and it's showing now and through your fights. Like we said, like I remember watching you early in your amateur career, a lot of high level striking, and now you're stopping these wrestlers. You're initiating the clinch. You're landing those nasty elbows, like you were saying.
Yeah.
I mean, and here we are now, 3-1 as a pro. Came through, like I said, it was a tough fight. Almost went the decision, but I mean, came out relatively unscathed from my point of view. I would like to hear it from your end. How soon do you want to get back in there? What's next for the Hitman?
We're already working on something. I actually had one, and then of course, they backed out already, or I don't know. It was a whole thing where their coach said yeah, or then I don't know. It was a mix up, but they were in, now they're out. But November 4th, I'm trying to find an opponent for, I forget the name of the promotion, but Treasure Island Casino, I think is what the card I was gonna try to get on. Hopefully, maybe by the time this is posted, I'll have one. So we'll see. Sorry, what's that?
Is that Aftermath promotion?
No, it's not.
WFC or something like that?
Yeah, WFC. I can't remember what it stands for. Something Fighting Championships, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, but either way, I'm gonna be on there. As long as I can find me an opponent, a new one. And yeah, so that's a good quick turnaround. I really just took a week out of the gym after the fight because it was a long fight, and then was back in a week later.
Oh hell yeah! Now so now that we know what's next, I guess moving forward, what type of performance are you looking to have against? I mean, granted, the opponent just backed out. You're looking to get back in there as soon as possible. But what type of performance are you looking to have? What riding this wave of momentum that you have coming off of this recent LFA win?
A similar one. Actually, no, not another 14.5-minute one. Hopefully like a 3-minute fight would be cool. I'm gonna get in and knock it out and try to get another one lined up for, no, not for the rest of the year. I'll probably get that November 4th one and then chill until January, February of next year. But no, yeah, for the next one, I really want to just, it doesn't matter who it is. I just want to compete and keep building. Get to 4-1 to close the year out. That'd be 4 fights for the year. That's the number I've always wanted to have. I feel like I was on that as an amateur, but then so many pullouts and then COVID and then injury. I had a broken hand at one point, just a bunch of stuff. So, but when everything's going well, 4 fights a year makes sense, at least. So.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess I gotta go more in depth with my question as well, because it's not just it's one of those things. Like, so when you're fighting, you're having the performances that you're having, people start to talk about what type of fighter that you are, what type of fighter that you aren't. Opponents expect certain things and they don't expect other things leading into fights, which puts a fighter into a position where they feel like they need to go out there and prove anybody else that's expecting them that they can't do whatever is unexpected of them, that they can do the unexpected. What I mean is, like, are you planning on in one of your next fights, depending on the matchup or depending on the person or just anyone, going out there and showing that you can take somebody down, be dominant on top, and uh, beat the fuck out of somebody from mount, but also at the same time, when I say that, I want you to take into consideration that fighters have let that sink in from other people like media, like myself and TJ, and changed up the game plan and then started to lose. I'm just wondering if that's on your mind at all. I'm not trying to get you to think that you have to do one thing or the other. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, my man. But I'm just kind of curious about that. Have you ever thought about that? Is that something that plays on your mind leading into the future?
Not really. No, in a way, I've thought of it like plenty of times in the past. Like maybe there'll be that opponent eventually where I feel like mixing and wrestling makes sense, but not to prove a point to anybody, not to, you know what I mean, not to, yeah, not because I have anything to prove, just because it would make the fight easier. Really, that's the only reason. Like if I felt like a guy had zero takedown defense, then I would take him down if I felt like it would be easy. I just haven't. In my matchups, I feel like it's easier to knock them out. If you look at the guys I have, the two previous guys I stopped, I feel like that was easier than it would have been to take them down. So, as a pro, I mean, so yeah, in the future, if I get a good striker, yeah, maybe I will mix in some wrestling, but no, I don't feel like I have to fight in a way. I feel like my fighting style is naturally like entertaining enough where I don't have to try to I don't have to try to like impress. It just kind of it comes off impressive most of the time.
Yeah. No, I like that because like when Francis Ngannou fought Surreal Gone, I don't feel like he was trying to prove a point by taking him down and controlling him on the ground and everything. But a lot of people took it as that way, is that he was trying to prove a point. His
Yeah,
knees were shot. His knees
yeah,
were
no,
fucked.
he was doing what he had to do to advance.
Exactly, but they took it as a point of like him going out there trying to prove himself as a wrestler, thinking
Right.
that he's trying to make a statement for the rest of the division or anyone else who thinks that they can just come wrestle him. And on the contrary to him, we have someone who's like Josh Koscheck, who was a high level wrestler who started knocking guys out and thought he was a striker all of a sudden, and then started getting knocked out himself. It's
Yeah,
just
you got to know what you are. I guess you got to be true to yourself. Yeah, it's not like I can't wrestle. I mean, I could take some of these guys down, some of these Midwest welterweights for sure. It's just that for me, for my energy system, like it's easy for me to throw 100 jabs. You know what I mean? I don't have to use that much energy. Whereas like if I try to double leg a dude and he sprawls on me and I'm in a bad spot, it hasn't made sense yet. You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean it at a certain point it won't.
yeah. I mean, and anything that you have, I feel like you keep the. I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. I'm like running out of words, or blanking. I mean, but anyway, just keeping your keeping the cards close to the chest is
Yeah,
the way.
I have some. Yeah, definitely, I have some grappling that I think guys don't know. I think even my last opponent, he didn't expect me to have a lot of the scrambles I did, a lot of the strength and weird positions that I did, and like the striking from bottom, the sprawling, and the just the striking in general. Mixed like the MMA striking, you know, with the grappling. I feel like he probably underestimated me, and a lot of guys don't know, you know, how deep my bag of tricks kind of runs. But yeah, eventually I'll get to show some of that stuff if the matchup makes sense.
Yeah, and again, it just leads back to what we were talking about earlier about how you being in a high level grappling gym, but
Yeah,
everybody's known for their striking.
yeah. No, you can't hang out at Start BJJ as much as I do and not learn some tricks. So I have a lot of cool moves that. I mean, stuff that even specific to this opponent that I thought I might hit. Like I thought I might submit him, but it just didn't. It wasn't really there, and I was able to really the striking, like sprawling out on him, and even when I was on my back, there was a point in guard where I just started throwing the elbows. So it's like that just seemed more opportune at the time than looking for a guillotine or whatever else I saw. But yeah, someday for sure I'll get back to. I mean, as I am, I had a few submissions. It's just been a while, so I'll get back to that at some point.
Yeah, it's better to have the knife in your pocket and just not need it than not
Exactly.
have a knife at all. So I mean, it's definitely a great thing to have. And like you said, if you're out there finishing guys before it, I mean, I can't wait, like I said, to see what's next as far as that end. But one of the things you touched on that I kind of wanted to go into a little bit was, I mean, you had so much experience locally as an amateur, and now transition to pros, you've made that name for yourself now, and it's tough finding fight guys that want to come fight locally. Do you think eventually you're going to have to start branching out and going out of state to try to find guys that'll fight you to make your statement this early in your career?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't even really look at guys. I don't know who I'd fight that's actually from Minnesota at this point. Like a lot of the guys, even that I have fought, even since amateur, are from like either Iowa or Nebraska or whatever. Like when I look at like the rankings, like on tap, I used to like look at that all the time. Like, oh, I'm ranked this and that, but I don't even care about that stuff anymore because it's like, who cares what you're ranked in Minnesota? I'm trying to get paid. Like I'm trying to go to the big leagues. I don't care about rankings. But yeah, no, for sure. I'll continue branching out further. Like you're saying, I guess I got to fight a dude from Kyrgyzstan, so that was that was foreign. But yeah, no, I think that'll continue. Like not really fighting guys from Minnesota. There's some Wisconsin guys that are good that are coming up. So maybe some of them I could get matched up with. But other than that, yeah, I think probably branching out more.
Yeah. So with I guess with the thoughts of branching out as much as all the other fighters in your gym, because there's what you had uh Tony Martin, Maurice Green, now Angel Pacheco. You had Colin Huckbody, who was on the Contender Series, who got a UFC contract as well. So many people from your gym, and also Brock Larson himself, a former UFC fighter, former contender in ONE FC, UFC, and WEC. I can't mention that enough. Like his accolades go out. Like I feel like people forget. But anyway,
Yeah.
with him and his connections, and as well as so many other fighters along at Start BJJ that have made that next step, do you feel like if you're looking for fights outside of the state, you can't get fights locally, it's hard for you to find fights that, like, maybe you're only a few fights away from only fighting the best in the world and maybe getting a chance to prove yourself to Dana White yourself?
Yeah, no, for sure. I feel like I'm on that path. That's what I'm working towards. That's why I'm in a hurry. That's why I'm trying to, I could have, like a lot of people do, I could have fought and then just chilled and relaxed, but no, that's why I fought, and I'm back in the gym the next week and trying to fight, 6 weeks later or whatever it is. Yeah, I feel like I can get on there. I'd like to get on there next year if everything can stay on track where I'm at, be 6-1, 7-1 by like this time next year. I don't see why not. Otherwise, I mean, really any bigger promotion would be cool to get on, just any big show.
100%. And I mean, you got a style built for TV. I mean, you're very fan-friendly fight. I've made it very clear my bias. I'm a Joey Hart fan when it comes. So, I mean, regardless of who next, please let us know. But I just kind of going through, before we start wrapping this one up here today, coming off the big win, want to give you the chance to thank any teammates, sponsors, anybody outside the gym that was there for you with this big one, sir. Platform is yours.
Everyone at the gym, everyone who came out of the fight, it was a fun night. My teammates, Derek, who fought, Augustine, who just fought or did jiu-jitsu this last weekend. Who else? We got guys on the card coming up: Denzel, Zach McCullum. We got Ash Thompson. We got a bunch of guys who are fighting. Everyone who's been in the gym, everyone who's been helping me out. Brock, obviously. And then for sponsors, I'd like to thank Marb Logistics, Slack Painting, Rainy Lake Aquatics, and then my employer, Integrated Recycling Technology, always supporting me, as well as Sweets, baked goods, and then just a team, everyone showing up for sparring, helped me get better every day.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. Honestly, I can't wait to see what's next for you in the future. I only expect big things are coming for you and a lot of your teammates. And my man, like as TJ put it, we're fans of Joey Hart, and anyone watching this video, you should be too if you aren't already. Like this video, subscribe to Trash Talk with Damian and TJ, and we're out of here.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.